Welcome back to Business Success. I'm Chloe James for RFI Group. Now, the live music industry, one of my favourites, but it's got a stagnating revenue and sometimes some unfriendly regulation. There is, however, a startup promising to help promoters sell tickets, and they've just raised, as I mentioned in my opener, $525,000. Audience Republic's software allows promoters to reward punters who invite their friends to purchase tickets with lures like artist meet and greets or discounts to future shows. Their co-founder, Kristensen, is here to tell me all about it. Jared, welcome to Business Success.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for being here. So tell me, I mean, I've just mentioned I love the live music industry, love going to gigs. Tell me about Audience Republic, exactly who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so Audience Republic, we are an online marketing platform for events. So we allow event organisers to set up and create campaigns to drive increased ticket sales.
Cool, awesome. So is this like any kind of, is it along sort of with Ticketek and all those kinds of things, or lots of different artists and then getting people to come along?
Yeah, so we don't actually do any ticketing ourselves. We're all about how do we actually get people to buy the tickets. And so the processing of the transaction happens with the existing ticketing provider, whether that's Ticketek or Ticketmaster.
Awesome. And yours is the platform that they all sort of buy into that platform, is that right?
So event organisers are our customers. So particularly we work with at the moment concerts, music festivals, but looking to expand the platform to sporting events, theatre and conferences.
Cool.
So event organisers, they set up and create campaigns on our system and use those campaigns to drive increased ticket sales.
Wow, and I guess the sky's the limit, excuse the pun, but I guess the sky's the limit there on sort of events that are going on out there. There's so much happening. We were having a chat before we came on air about going to concerts with friends. Do you want to talk a little bit about how Audience Republic, and that's kind of one of your big sort of key reasons for being around and how you facilitate that?
Totally, yeah. Well, for us, the key insight, me as a former event promoter, knowing that if you know your friends are going to an event, you're going to be 10 times more likely to buy a ticket. And that's what our platform's built around, small groups of people inviting their friends to purchase tickets because friends, obviously go to events together. A lot of the time people don't go to events, by themselves. It's to have an experience with their friends.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about going to, we were saying as well, like even if it's a gig or perhaps someone that you're not a massive fan of, if all your friends are going, you kind of want to jump on board as well, and you're facilitating that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, fantastic. So where did the idea come about? You said that you were a promoter before.
Yeah.
Obviously, it sprung on from that, and then I want to talk about the technology space that I just spoke about with Marcus. So how did the idea all come about?
So I used to book bands and DJs off the back of Australian music festivals and tour them around. The first event, did really well. I made more money than I could have imagined at 18 years old.
Nice.
Thought, if I just do 10 of these every year, I'm going to be a millionaire.
How's that going?
Didn't quite work out like that. So ended up losing $20,000 in one night off the second event that I did, but learnt a lot from that. But did about 20 events over the space of 3 years. Some did well, some didn't. But really that's where the key light bulb moment was for me, that experience of losing that $20,000 of my own money.
Yeah, and I guess the light bulb moment was to create a platform, right, that you could kind of bring all of this together. Yeah,
well, after that I ended up working in marketing for a number of different technology companies. Right. It really kind of brought together my background in marketing and, my background in events, and thought about, knowing all this stuff about marketing today, how would I apply that to events? And, Audience Republic, that was the result.
That's how you do it. Interesting talking about marketing there. So do you use a lot of sort of social techniques? How are you getting the word out there about what you're doing?
Yeah, so our system gamifies the process of inviting friends, where people gain points by inviting their friends, sharing across social media, following across social media. And those points gain them access to exclusive tickets, exclusive pre-sale tickets, discounts, rewards, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So there's the hook, right? That's what I mentioned in my opener. So getting the meet and greets, the special VIP options.
Side-of-stage viewing experiences, we do all of that sort of stuff.
That's cool. Absolutely. That's cool. So it's really, you're obviously helping the gigs, getting lots of people along to them, and then in turn you're being able to offer your customers, if you like, these great opportunities.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, that's how it's working. Awesome. Starting out the business, any big challenges that you faced? Let's talk about losing the 20 grand.
Yeah.
Because something I do like to talk about is not regrets, but lessons that you learned. That must have been a massive lesson. And how did it happen, and what did it teach you?
Yeah, well, for me, I didn't actually learn a lot off that really successful event at the start. I learned the most from that second event where things actually didn't go really well. And so that actually was one of the key insights around, people go to events together with their friends, and that that was one of the key insights that I learned from that event that lost that money. And that's where, like I mentioned, Audience Republic came from.
Yeah, right.
So it actually worked out, in the end.
Yeah, no, it did. Listen, you've got some awesome partnerships. We were talking about it before. Electric Gardens, Rhythm and Vines.
Yeah.
I know Hamish Pinkham as well, and you're a Kiwi. So tell me about how you get all these really cool partnerships. And I imagine these people have lots of people knocking on their door saying, hey, we can help you out. So how do you set yourself apart, and how do you really connect with these people so that they take your platform on board?
Absolutely. Well, I was very lucky because I had existing relationships to begin with. So, I started off just a few relationships, with Rhythm and Vines, got a few case studies, which then enabled me to go out and really approach people who I had, no contact with before. And with those case studies and the results that we delivered, we're able to sign up more and more clients. And so, yeah, really, helping that process was having those existing relationships, getting those case studies, and then going from there.
Yeah, so advice there is really about, as you say, the case study. So going, this worked really well, this is how we can kind of work it with what you're producing.
It's all about the results, absolutely.
Yeah, and all about the relationships.
And the relationships. Very relationship-driven industry, for sure.
Yeah. Interesting. And how about getting this Artisan Ventures? I mean, pretty amazing. I've actually had them on the show. $525,000 in funding. What was that experience like?
Yeah. Oh, look. It was really tough raising the capital. For me, starting out knew 0 investors. And so it was a process of just meeting a whole heap of people. I reckon I took about, 100 different meetings,
Wow.
getting introduced to different people, intros, meeting people on LinkedIn to really, build the relationships with different investors over a period of time.
Yeah, and you just got to knock on the door and form that relationship, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And, you meet one person, they introduce you to somebody else, and, the process keeps going.
Yeah.
And so really tough, but, we've got a really great group of investors, Artesian Capital, who you mentioned, and a number of other kind of smaller angel investors as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. Talking about your investors and some of those relationships, have you been given some great, I imagine you would have been given, some great advice by them?
Absolutely, yeah. I think really critical, more than just money, is around the added value that investors can provide to you. And so, we're lucky to have different investors who are, ex-Spotify, ex-Apple, ex-Invoice2Go, AdRoll, and so they've all got a really different, vast experience that we can really, draw on and help us in the business.
And especially in that platform space.
Oh, absolutely. We've got some really good tech background people, and they've just been invaluable in terms of, scaling the business, building a product and getting customers on the platform.
Yeah, that's amazing. On to scale. What's some of their advice been when it comes to kind of scaling and growth? And then what does that look like to you? Are you just trying to get as many kind of festivals and gigs going as you can?
Key thing to scale is, the advice we've had from investors is just focus, really stay focused on what you're trying to do. And there's so many things you could do, but really what you need to focus on is what's going to give you the most results. And so that's been the key advice from, our investors and mentors and advisors.
Yeah, when you're looking at focus, do they also kind of say things, I hear a lot on the show about culture. I was chatting to Marcus about it before. Do they talk about staying true to yourself and staying true to your business model and focus into where you want to get to, I suppose?
Totally, yeah. I mean, a lot of people say around, stay focused on the vision, but be flexible on the details. There's a lot of different ways to kind of attack the same problem. And so, sometimes what you think is going to work doesn't always work out. And so you need to be flexible on those kind of details on how you solve the problem and not be so, tied to the solution that you've got, because it may be that customers, may not want it in the end. It might be a different solution that you need to build to solve that same problem.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Is that difficult sometimes when it's your sort of baby, if you like, to kind of let go of a way you really thought things would happen? But I guess over time with your investors, you're learning that, really listen, and it's all about listening and what you can learn.
Absolutely. Well, I've been pretty lucky because, being a former event promoter, I've kind of, got an idea of what it's like to be like these customers. So we haven't really had to change fundamentally the problem and the product, but really kind of build on top of it and keep developing it over time. Yeah,
fantastic. Listen, we've got to wrap up soon. I told you it would go super fast, like I did with Marcus. I guess I want to know where to next for Audience Republic, and also what you do in your personal life. Probably go to a lot of shows, I would imagine. And I want some free tickets next time.
Well, in terms of next for Audience Republic, we're really focused on moving into different segments. So right now, concerts, music festivals, but going into other segments like sport, theatre, conferences, but also key markets as well. You know, the US, the UK, and Europe. Massive markets for us, and that's going to be our key focus.
Awesome.
In terms of my personal time, really, you know, I do try to go to a lot of live music, but it wouldn't be as much as what you'd think. But definitely, you know, just like to really try not to work on the weekends and just chill, go out for lunch, all that sort of stuff, and just keep it really chill.
And then in the week, your head down and foot to the floor.
Absolutely, 100%.
Cool. Jared, listen, really great to have you on Business Success. Thank you so much for being here. I love what you're doing, and definitely will check it out. That's it from me at Business Success for another week. Chloe James for RFI Group. Thank you for watching, and thanks, of course, to my guests for coming on. Look forward to seeing you next week at 9 o'clock, my new time slot. See you then.